Listen to the radio, Harry and Edna's Wireless Show. You heard it from the Three Bells.
What-o, Harry?
And what-o, Edna. And welcome to Harry and Edna on the Wireless, on location, somewhere inland.
What-ho?
Now there's music in the background. Where are we, young Edna?
Well, we're at Wrest Park taking part in an event called Wrest at War.
This is actually quite exciting because not only are we recording the radio show, we actually are performing here. And I don't know if we can catch this, but listen to this. That's the sound of our son cooking sausages, MI5 sausages. It's a bit of a secret as to what's in them, because we are performing a World War II weekend doing the home front, and we don't have our little victory garden here, because what is happening at Wrest at War?
Well, there's a little bit of everything going on, and it's not just about World War II, it's also about World War I. So they're covering all aspects of Wrest Park's history, covering everything from First World War through to Second World War, and it's really lovely because it's not just sort of the military side of it. We're here portraying the home front side of things, and there's lots of things for children to do, including a little combat course, which our youngest son wanted to do and then bottled out at last minute because you get a very shouty corporal, and I think that put him off in the end. But there's also a cavalry cavalry company here portraying the Indian Army, who obviously were bulking up the numbers for cavalry in the First World War. And Harry, what else am I missing?
Well, I can hear some music. They're called, well, I don't know who they're called. We're going to go and find out. You can tell Edna hasn't done a radio show for a while. The next thing we do is play a record.
What-ho?
Now, as Edna said, here at Wrest Park, or Wrest at War at Wrest Park, there's a lot of different activities representing life during the war, during the Second World War. I'm going with my son now to one of the many medical field stations, and we're going to go to one that's treating civilian casualties, because my son is going to be the casualty for the day and get through the procedures of the period. So after the next track, let's see what happens to him.
What-ho?
Right, young man, come forward. Okay, what's your name?
Eddie.
Eddie, right, Eddie. So do you know the drill? No? Okay, that's all right. This is my pipe. You see my pipe? Yes. See the end of my pipe? And what I want you to do is follow the end of the pipe with your eyes without moving your head. Can you do that? Excellent, right. Follow the pipe. No, don't move your head, Eddie. Don't move, it's not funny. Don't move your head. Ready? Here we go. Well done. Good. Excellent. Good work, Eddie. Well done. Hands like that. Good. Wiggle your fingers. Wiggle your toes. No, that's your knees, Eddie. Toes. That's good. Excellent. Hands like that. Turn them over. Good. Now push down on... No, turn them over. Push down. No, turn them over. Don't copy me. That's it. Now push down on my hands. Push down. Yes. Yes. Earlobe. Yes, you're suffering from a bad case of... We've broken every bone in your earlobe, Eddie. See here? All right? All the bones have come out completely. All right, what we need to do is put a pad there. Put a nurse there, please. Got an earlobe injury here.
Earlobe injury?
Yes. Can we put a pad on it? This show matters. Eddie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, this is a bit big.
How did he do that?
Oh, he's probably walked into a wall or something. All right. Could have been a flying piano. Not sure. All right. All right. Have you been down the pub? Eddie? No? All right. Very good. Is that long enough?
Yeah. No, it's not. It's the one you...
Very good. Well, actually, the nurse is free. We can get him straight to the nurse. Just here, put that on, hold that on there.
Yeah.
Jolly good.
So there's
put
no
that on, put your hand on there, press that in there so we don't get blood. That's it. Take that off to the nurse.
Okay, right, this way,
okay,
this way.
she'll go that way.
Really? Do you want to come down here for me? I want to keep on looking at this.
We produce a weekly vintage radio show. Do you mind if we record this part?
Of course. Let me see how disturbing I am.
Have a look.
Oh, this is awesome.
Sweetie, that does look sore. What happened to you? Was it a falling piano?
Oh, that happens around here more often than you'd think, actually. Oh, sweetie, that does look uncomfortable. You're being very brave. Does it hurt a lot? No? Oh, you are very strong. Oh, that's a bit more worrying. Haven't decided yet. Maybe it's meant to hurt a bit more and you haven't noticed yet. It could be the shock, sweetie. Could be the shock. There we go. Oh, that's a really nasty gas you have there. Are you okay with injections? You're not sure? That's right. You be very brave for me. Ooh. There you are. You are very brave. Sharp scratch. All done. There we go, my love. Would you like to have a look at what happened? I've patched you up as best I can, okay? I'll see you later.
Thank you so much. We have a rescued Eddie.
Looking as good as new-ish.
I'm a bit muddy now, aren't they?
Oh no, there's a bit of production line here, so I suspect we better move on quickly, and because somebody else must have been hit by flying pianos.
Have a...
What ho?
Now, one voice you haven't heard an awful lot of while I've been whizzing around is young Edna, and that's because Harry and Edna are actually performing here at Wrest Park, and, well, I've left young Edna performing, for want of a better word, but she's with me at the moment, so what is it we're meant to be doing today? Or we are doing, well, you're doing it, I'm just talking.
Well, Harry, whilst you've been whizzing around Wrest Park, I've been here, nose to the grindstone, doing the display. And what we have here today at Wrest Park is we're displaying at our sort of take, if you like, on a victory garden. Now, bear in mind we're in the middle of Wrest Park, which is English Heritage's sort of flagship property, and we're trying to recreate an allotment in the middle of a big grass landscaped area. So what we've done is we've got a small encampment with our allotment, and we've managed to recreate broad beans growing up, some bamboo canes. We've got tomato plants growing. Our boys keep planting and digging up potatoes, just to show some of the things that people would have grown on the home front in their back gardens or on their allotments, or you're encouraged really to grow them in any spot of land that you had. And if you didn't have a garden, that didn't deter the home fronter. What they could do was to plant up a window box or use any available space that you had to try and grow food to help the farmers out. And really, the more food you could grow, the more you could eat.
I should say, because of course these shows go out at all sorts of different times of the year, we actually are doing this in May, so the Victory Garden does look tremendously like brown mud. So why is that?
Well, of course, we're trying to portray a victory garden as it would have been at this time of year. So, yes, we would have had things growing, but they wouldn't have been in full bloom at this particular point. So part of it is showing what the garden, what state it would be in at this time of year, but also trying to show and teach people things like potatoes. You would have cut them in half, and I think later on in the war they cut potatoes into 4 to try and get them to seed, to really eke out the most from your potatoes.
What ho?
We've got herbs growing in our victory garden, which a lot of visitors here today have said to us, why on earth have you got herbs growing? Is that something they would have grown in their victory garden? Well, yes, of course, because one of the key factors of wartime food was something that the late Marguerite Patton said to me, and I will always remember this. She said if a wartime family or a wartime housewife ever said they were starving during the war, they got something very wrong. There was never a shortage of food that made people feel like they were starving. What got to people was the blandness and the monotony of food, because really you wouldn't risk your rations trying to do something dynamic and whizzy for your family. You would have really stuck to what you knew. So you would have had the same thing cooked for you week in, week out, week after week, month after month. And so people got really bored with food. So it was really important. People like Marguerite Patton went around demonstrating and doing cookery corners to encourage the housewife to flavour food, to do something different with it, to sort of expand her sort of cooking repertoire, as it were, to start flavouring food with things like herbs and spices. And one of the key things that I had was that we still imported curry powder. And do you remember, Harry, she cooked for us curried corned beef balls, and the thought of that absolutely freaked me out because I really hate corned beef with a passion. I absolutely can't stand the stuff. And she lightly fried the onions and then took the onions out, and then she mashed down the corned beef, mixed in these lightly fried onions, added in a little bit of curry powder, mixed it all together, rolled the corned beef into little balls, and then lightly fried them again. And you know, they were the tastiest thing. And I actually ate corned beef, which was rare.
Well, that really does bring us on to the next tent, because next to us we have a tent with displays in. But before I can do that, I am, after all, gramophone happy. So it's time to play a tune.
What ho?
Well, I'm still here with young Edna. We've left our Victory Garden and our Wellingtons because we've now got into... Well, I know what this is. This is our really wonderful 1944 dated army tent. But it's looking a little bit unusual. What are you doing in here?
Well, again, because we're in a field, we're trying to give that impression of the wartime home front. So we're sort of doing it the best we can in a tent in the middle of the field. So we've got a little bit of kitchenalia, a little bit of the enamel pots and pans. We've got a couple of display cases on 2 tables, and they are showing some kind of a general overview of the home front. So what we are doing is giving people the idea of wartime rations. I've given a couple of talks per day on what's involved in the wartime ration, so giving you a basic idea of what would keep the what the average adult got on ration during the war. And as always, there's a huge reaction from people as to what you got. But basically, it was enough to keep you basically healthy, and that's what they'd worked out. So one of the display cases is showing you wartime rations. We've got ration books, we've got points coupon books. In the next display case here, we have a general array of things like pig keeping. It was really popular during the wartime to keep pigs for meat in your back gardens or on your allotments or on your school playing fields. And there was a fantastic wartime saying that goes, you can eat every part of a pig except its squeak or its squeal. And you literally could eat every single part of the animal, or if you couldn't eat it, we could use it for other things. So it was really one of the most economical animals that we raised during the war. And of course they being pigs, ate all the waste food and products that we couldn't eat. So we weren't wasting crops feeding them up for the winter. We also have some iconic posters on the Dig for Victory theme, because of course it was really important for you to grow food and vegetables and fruits in your back gardens. And there's always lots of talk from members of the public, because they're used to the iconic Dig for Victory postcard. But of course we got Dig for Plenty, Dig On for Victory. And of course these were us having to sort of reinvigorate and motivate the public to do it year after year. We have some Ministry of Food information leaflets teaching you how to use your powdered egg and how to feed your children during wartime. So lots of inspirational leaflets, if you can call them that, from the Ministry of Food. And one of our favourite things that we do, of course, is the Make, Do and Mend. And we have some lovely artefacts that really draw the public and get them talking about some of the things that they either remember from the wartime or certainly well into the 50s. One of them being our knitted swimsuit, and that always goes down a treat. And of course our knitted man's vest, which is actually quite scratchy and not the most pleasantest of garments to have worn. So it's a little bit of a sort of cross spread of the home front. I keep talking to people, Harry, and asking them, do you think you would like to wear this wartime scratchy knitted vest?
As long as it's lamb's wool. But what I'm going to do is go to the stove. We've got a lovely wood-burning stove with a kettle on, and that just means it must be time for tea.
What ho?
This is Harry and Edna on the wireless, coming to you from Wrest Park, where they're doing the Wrest at War weekend. Now, while my son is here playing the hoopla games, there's some traditional games here, it gives me time to say to you, you can listen to Harry and Edna on the wireless, not only on FM and regular radio, but we're also on internet streaming, internet radio and podcast. Simply go to harryandedna.co.uk.
What ho?
Well, my son and I are here where they're going to do the battle reenactment the other side of the small lake, and it's so quiet here, apart from obviously the public coming through. But what have we spotted in the middle of the lake?
A nest with a bird in it, but I'm not sure if it has eggs in.
That's right, there's a bird. Well, there's actually a nest floating in the middle of this pond or lake, and there's a black bird on it. And I reckon because the bird is sitting so quietly, I reckon there's eggs under there, don't you?
I'm not sure.
Well, I suspect we'll find out. Let's hope. We are quite a distance away because my son is rather young, so we didn't want to get too close to the bangs. Let's hope both my son and the bird are quite happy here, because I have a real feeling there's going to be some bangs and booms as Wrest at War ends with a battle reenactment.
What ho?
However they figure the line. Now the battle is well and truly raging. What we have is a group of British paratroopers apparently coming back from Ireland who have run into a German patrol. So, I have my son with me. What do you think's going on?
I think they're protecting, so they're using the most powerful weapons and the guns.
There certainly is lots of guns going off. Shall we carry on watching to see what else happens?
Yes.
What ho?
Well, I don't think things are going too well for these British airborne. They seem to be fairly surrounded by the German infantry, and there's certainly lots of banging going on. What do you think is going to happen now?
I think they're going to pretend they died, that one thing, and the tunnel's not down by anyone.
Certainly are. There are a lot of people here watching the battle going on. I'm pleased to say our duck is still quite happily and totally oblivious. I think we just got hit by an artillery barrage then. But the duck is totally oblivious to this and is still in the middle of the lake or the pond, sitting on her eggs.
I think she's trying to keep her eggs safe from the panic, and if they're going to be that when they're not born yet.
I hope so. I would hate to think that the ducky was upset, but she seems totally oblivious to all this that's going on. Unfortunately, the British paratroopers are probably thinking something a little different. They've had the artillery barrage, and now the German reenactors have pretty much pushed them right into the corner of the battlefield. Who knows what's going to happen after... Well, if I play this track, this wonderful piece of music, what's going to happen next?
What ho?
Well, the round of applause probably means that's the end of the battle, and our poor British troops seem to have been captured. However, the event's still going on, but sadly it's time for Harry and Edna to sign off. So it's just time for me to say doodle pip.